Obama this week attempted to reassure the American people that his administration is making progress in the battle against terror.
We're going to defeat ISIS. And we're going to do so by systematically squeezing them, cutting off their supply lines, cutting off their financing, taking out their leadership, taking out their forces, taking out their infrastructure. We're going to do so in partnership with forces on the ground that sometimes are spotty, sometimes capacity building, need our assistance, need our training.
The president visited the Pentagon, met with counterterrorism officials, and talked with a group of news columnists. Let's bring in Rhode Island Democrat Congressman James Langevin, who is a member of the Homeland Security Committee. Congressman, good to have you here on the broadcast. I want to get your take on this because the president has been criticized for his public response to both the Paris and San Bernardino attacks. In fact, the New York Times reports that the president acknowledged that his low-key approach led Americans to worry that he was not doing enough to keep the country safe. Despite what's being done behind the scenes, has the president sufficiently projected an air of confidence to the public?
I think the president is doing the very best that he can under very difficult circumstances. This is a long-term fight against a terrorist organization that is bound and determined to kill innocent civilians, certainly target Americans and our interests and that of our allies overseas. ISIL has obviously has hijacked, unfortunately, the Muslim religion and has perverted it and used as an excuse and a way to promote their violent ideology. But they're thugs, murderers, and criminals, and certainly we need to do everything we can to dismantle them. The president is acting very aggressively, I believe, in this way. Obviously, more can be done, and I know he and his administration and the American people stand ready to do whatever we need to do to dismantle ISIL and make sure that it's defeated. Well,
in terms of what more can be done, this is an example of that. There was a recent report saying security has been increased at theme parks across the country. Do you know, sir, if that's in response to something specific? And how much have all these concerns caused your constituents to stay at home, if at all?
Well, look, we certainly need to be more security-minded, but at the same time, we cannot change our way of change our values or compromise our values in any way, because if we do that, then the terrorists win by de facto. We can't allow that to happen. But we are in a changed environment. Being more aware of our surroundings, taking prudent security measures is essential. And I believe that our law enforcement, our intelligence officials are redoubling their efforts to do just that. And certainly the American people can be more security-minded by just being more aware of their surroundings. And if they see something, say something. Those are the best things that we can do. At the same time, look, we cannot allow the terrorists to scare us and keep us hiding in our homes and changing our way of life. I will not allow that to happen, and the American people, I know, feel the same way.
The shootings, as you know, they're carried out by a husband and wife, parents to a 6-month-old baby. Authorities have found no direct link between them and an organized group thus far. The president, in his news conference, addressing the difficulties of fighting this type of threat. Here's that.
It is very difficult for us to detect lone wolf plots or plots involving a husband and wife in this case because despite the incredible vigilance and professionalism of all our law enforcement, Homeland Security, etc., it's not that different from us trying to detect the next mass shooter. You don't always see it. They're not always communicating publicly, and if you're not catching what they say publicly, then it becomes a challenge.
So how are officials adjusting their strategies to cope with this threat, and do you sense progress is being made?
Well, I know that our law enforcement and intelligence officials are going over the San Bernardino shooting situation and finding out what, if anything, was missed. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion and finding, are there things that we can do better so that the next time we catch it in advance and it doesn't get carried out as a terrorist attack. But as the president stated, and I agree, that these types of situations, particularly when people are self-radicalized, are things that are going to be very difficult to prevent and to detect. We just have to be as vigilant as we possibly can be. And if there are giveaway signs, that law enforcement or intelligence community is tipped off so that we can disrupt those types of terrorist attacks before they ever occur. But there's no doubt it is a real challenge. But we are doing everything possible, and we are learning as we go. We will adapt. We will look at this not as a sprint, but as a marathon. We are going to systematically dismantle and detect these types of situations wherever possible, and be vigilant about it.
While I have you specifically here, though, sir, you're a member of the House Homeland Security Committee, so you have access to a lot of specific information. Generally speaking, though, is there something in light of these attacks that keeps you up at night?
Well, certainly, I've been at this for a very long time now, both as a former member of the Intelligence Committee, a member of the Armed Services Committee, and as well as a senior member of the Homeland Security Committee. And the terrorism threat has been something that certainly keeps me up late at night. It's certainly things that certainly is on my mind. But I know that we have very dedicated individuals that in our law enforcement intelligence community that are on the job 24/7, making sure that the American people are safe. Now, look, you can't prevent everything. You can't predict everything, just whether it's a criminal activity or in a terrorist situation. But look, let's not live our lives in fears and allow the terrorists to win. We can't allow that to happen. So we're going to be continually aggressive. We're going to learn as we go. We're going to adapt as we go. We're going to make sure that we're doing everything possible to keep the American people safe. I have great confidence in our intelligence and law enforcement officials to do their job. And I know that the administration, as well as the Congress, in a bipartisan way, takes security very seriously. And we're going to do everything that we can do in our power to make sure that the American people are safe.
And that's what we want to hear. Rhode Island Democrat Congressman James